Next on Worcester News Tonight, we're just a day away from Worcester's preliminary election, and the city and candidates are encouraging people to get out and vote. Plus, a Worcester police canine is recovering after a violent encounter with a suspect. We're learning more tonight about the moments leading up to the incident. Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Anna Botari. A beautiful day today in central Massachusetts, but it's certainly starting to feel like summer is coming to an end. Let's check in with meteorologist Tim Kelly to get a first check of our local forecast.
Pretty nice, yeah, September weather. A front to the north. There's some very cold air on the backside of Dorian, headed to the other side of Iceland. We have tropical downpours, but not an organized system, just a wave of low pressure off Washington, D.C. Extreme heat in the deep south, 95 to 100, and a sprawling weather system to the west. So there's a lot going on, considering how quiet we are. It's kind of amazing. We're not going to stay quiet all week, but I think most of the heavy action, the heat and the thunderstorms, mostly staying away. Those clouds that form this afternoon are kind of lowering overnight and thickening, so it's going to be a rather gray start tomorrow morning. Temperature is going to be in the 50s, so not as cool as it was last couple of nights. And that low cloud and fog looks like it's going to have a tough time burning off. You can see sunshine increasing to the south, sunshine increasing to the north, but here we are with a couple of showers around. Temperature in the 60s and lower 70s tomorrow afternoon, and then as we go through into the evening, same thing. So not much of a change. It gets more humid tomorrow. Shower or storm tomorrow night. Then on the warm side, Wednesday, we'll have the 10-day through the weekend in a few minutes.
A Worcester police canine is recovering after a violent incident with a suspect. The man police say is responsible is undergoing an evaluation to see if he's competent to stand trial. Our Chandler Walsh is in Worcester tonight with those details. Chandler?
Worcester Police Lieutenant Sean Murtha says this is the worst canine line of duty injury he's experienced. Canine Beebs suffered lacerations and wounds to the head with swelling, but is expected to make a full recovery.
It's unacceptable.
Bus riders in Worcester react to an incident which left a police canine with stab wounds to the head.
I don't like animal cruelty. I love all animals. I think it's terrible. It's terrible.
Worcester police say 41-year-old Joseph Perez was threatening to stab bus drivers and set them on fire at the WRTA transportation hub Saturday afternoon.
He ended up going into some bushes and kind of barricading himself in there, saying he was going to stab anyone who came in.
Canine Beebs, seen here with his trainer, Officer Dan Pinellatore, attempted to capture Perez. The man stabbed Beebs in the head multiple times with a screwdriver. Lieutenant Sean Murtha says the canine was treated at the hospital and is home recovering with Officer Pinellatore.
He was not hurt, but obviously they get very close to their dogs, so it's a stressful experience for him. But he'll be back too. He did a great job, did everything like he was supposed to during the incident.
Riders at the hub Monday say no one deserves to be threatened like the bus drivers were.
Nobody should be getting threatened, especially at their job.
The elderly and other people need them drivers because that's a community service.
Wayne Field has a service dog to help him get around the city. He says hearing what happened to Beebs makes him think of his own working dog.
They're just as good as the guide dogs. Yeah, the canine dogs, they do a heck of a lot, and people don't give them the credit that they need.
Beebs is one of 6 Worcester canines and has been with the department for more than 2 years. Lieutenant Murtha expects he'll be back to work in a few weeks.
Instead of a knife, it was a screwdriver he was stabbing him with, so it could have been worse in terms of cuts and the like, but he was stabbing him as hard as he could.
Perez is facing multiple charges, including animal cruelty and armed assault with intent to murder. He was arraigned today, ordered held without bail, and will undergo mental evaluation at Bridgewater State Hospital. In Worcester, Chandler Walsh, Worcester News Tonight.
Auburn police respond to a fatal shooting incident at the New World Van Lines warehouse. Police say one man is dead. He suffered an injury to his chest. According to Fire Chief Stephen Coleman, there was no threat to the public. The Worcester County District Attorney's Office is investigating. Worcester police are also investigating a fatal shooting. Police aren't releasing the name of the victim, but say he was a 37-year-old man. He was rushed to the hospital Saturday night, where he was later pronounced dead. Police don't believe the shooting was random. They are asking anyone with information to contact them. Worcester's preliminary election is tomorrow. More than 24 candidates are running for the school committee and city council. And just hours before the polls open, the Election Commission is encouraging people to go out and vote. Our Cam Jandro is in Worcester with those details. Cam?
Anna, the race for at-large city council will be cut from 15 candidates down to 12 after tomorrow. Talking to the Election Commission earlier today, they say they don't remember an election season as busy as this one. We're in Newton Square here in the city of Worcester, and if you have a look behind me, you can see there are people campaigning at the last minute. We talked to a few candidates earlier today, and they are encouraging people to go out and vote. Citywide preliminary elections are not common in Worcester, especially the school committee race.
I believe the last time we had a preliminary for school committee was back in the 80s or even as far as the 70s. So that's something special this time around.
Both races have more than a dozen candidates running. James Leo Bedard is preparing for his first election Tuesday. He says the large number of candidates is a positive sign for the city.
Over the last couple of years, there's been a tremendous amount of energy behind change, behind positive changes that we want to bring to our neighborhoods.
The city's election commission started preparing polling stations Friday. This year, like all others, they have the same goal: get every registered voter to turn out.
But we can only hope, right? If we have a good turnout in September, that would probably be a good sign for the November election as well.
Only 11% of voters participated in the last preliminary in 2015. And this year, the city is expecting turnout to be low. Former District 1 City Councilor Tony Economou is hoping to reclaim a seat on the council. He's encouraging registered voters to cast ballots tomorrow.
10% of the people are making the decisions for close to 200,000 people. I don't know. I have a problem with that. It's important for people to be engaged.
Worcester has 50 polling sites across the city. The hope is national elections like the presidential race inspire people to vote locally.
But we are coming up with a busy election season because we also have the presidential primaries in March. So it's going to be an interesting time for election officials throughout the country.
Now, tomorrow, you'll be able to vote from 7 a.m. until 8 p.m. You can go to the City of Worcester's website and find one of those 50 polling sites that is closer to you. In Worcester, I'm Cam Jandro, Worcester News Tonight.
A driver on the Mass Pike catches an unusual scene on camera. Check this out. This video shows a man asleep at the wheel of his self-driving Tesla. He's slumped over and a passenger is also sleeping. It happened on the Mass Pike in Newton over the weekend. Tesla says their autopilot feature is intended to be used with an attentive driver who has both hands on the wheel. State police are aware of the incident. Best Buy announces it will not renew its lease at Worcester's Greendale Mall. The electronics store has been at the location since 1999. A spokesman for the company says it will close on November 7th because of a decline in business. The Best Buy spokesman adds he thinks customers are showing they prefer it to shop at other places in the Worcester area. An area high school student is making changes at his school to promote mental health awareness. He wants his fellow classmates to know if they're struggling, help is available. Our Erin Keating has the details. Erin?
Anna, St. John's students are starting the new school year with new student ID cards. It's all part of an initiative which began with a student.
Carson Domi is a good student, but his biggest accomplishment is on the back of his new St. John's ID card.
They just saw the email and they're like, wait, what, you did that? I'm like, yeah, I mean.
The National Suicide Prevention Lifeline is now on every student ID at the high school. A friend of Domi's died from suicide last December. He wants his classmates to know there is always someone to talk to.
And if it's someone that you really don't want to know, they have hotlines such as the ones that we're putting on the back of ID cards.
The sophomore reached out to the school's administration earlier this summer about putting the phone number on the back of student IDs. He says the initiative reminded him of St. John's mission.
A big piece of the education here at St. John's is that the school focuses on the entire student, and that includes mental health.
Domi also spent his summer interning at the State House. While working with legislators, he discovered a proposed Senate bill to require public and private high schools to have the Lifeline on the back of the ID cards.
Especially in an institution such as St. John's that welcomes change and change proposed by students, I figured, why don't I bring this to my school?
Headmaster Alex Zakara says St. John's is always looking for new ways to be on top of issues, and when Domi's proposal reached his desk, he said yes right away.
I think especially in 2019, it's extremely important for all schools, and St. John's included, to really pay attention to mental, social, emotional health of our students.
Domi says although he hopes no one will need the number, he is proud of the initiative the school has taken.
Who knows? Hopefully someone will never have to use it, but it's one of those things that it's still good for the school to provide another resource like that.
Domi hopes to one day be back at the State House. He'd like to run for office in the future. In studio, Erin Keating, Worcester News Tonight.
Powwow Worcester is back for a second time this season. 4 artists are painting murals on Worcester Public Schools this week. Mississippi-based artist Birdcap started on Monday. He's painting a mythology-inspired piece at Burncoat Middle School. Powwow directors hope the event engages with young people in the city and gets more of them interested in art.
So back in 2017, our organizing committee was really concerned about cuts in funding for the arts throughout the country. So the way we felt we could bring a bit more art back to schools here in Worcester is by promoting public art and adding murals to a lot of the walls here at the schools.
Powwow artists will also teach workshops in Worcester public art classes.